Welcome, everybody. It's time once again to grab your board, swim out into the wave of ideas, and see if you can't catch that sales pipeline that's starting to curl up over the horizon there.
Well, welcome everyone to Sales Pipeline Radio. If you're listening live, thank you very much for joining us. If you're joining us from the podcast, we are available through subscription always on Google Play and the iTunes Store. And every episode of Sales Pipeline Radio is always available, past, present, and future, on demand at salespipelineradio.com. Every week we are featuring some of the best and brightest minds in B2B sales and marketing. Today is no different. I'm very, very excited to have on the show today Jonah-kai. He is the Senior Director of Marketing for Tune. And first of all, Jonah-kai, thanks very much for joining us today.
Hey, thanks, Matt. Appreciate the time.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, I've wanted to get you on here for a while, and I think we, saw each other at ABM workshop here in Seattle just a few weeks ago, and it became clear just how much you guys are trying to get done and how much is in your purview. I mean, you've got field marketing, demand gen, operations, and your technology stack is pretty significant. I want to maybe have you start just with, you and I both know the sales team can still come back and say, well, those leads suck, and we're not going to follow up with them, and we're just going to cherry pick the ones we want. Talk a little bit about your strategies and what's worked well for you to really align with the sales organization to ensure there's consistency in the middle, and that they are aligned around the journey, but they're also aligned around lead management and conversion.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's actually one of the challenges. I was in a meeting this morning dealing with it. Like, I currently have built out on my team, we have field marketing, right? So field marketing to me, is really the essence of like, how do you make sure that campaigns land in field? So I've got field marketing teams across the globe. And in each of those teams, we've built out a process, but which weekly, it's the responsibility of the field marketing managers to pull together all of the stats for the week. So we're at ABM. So we look at, most people think of a conversion funnel as like prospects, or suspects, prospects. You generate an MQL. MQL goes to a sales accepted lead, sales qualified, yada yada. In our targeted account world, we look at target accounts, marketing engaged contacts, which means they've engaged with our campaign, sales accepted contacts, sales contacted contacts, then qualified active opportunities. So I actually have each of my field marketing managers on a weekly basis has, and it's old school, but we have it in an Excel sheet. They have the table there where they have what our goals and targets for each of those waterfall metrics are. So let's say I need to have 250 marketing engaged contacts for this week, and the waterfall metrics fall from there. And then they fill out that data, and then they come to a meeting every Friday. We sit down with the head of the SDRs for each region, and we actually go through those metrics and to look at how's everything performing, and talk to them and say, are you seeing these same ones? Here's the reports we see. What's the feedback you get there? The challenge is, in our mind, we think, hey, you know what, if we come to the table and we have all of our metrics and we have all of our reports and look at this, like the sales team is going to be, oh, great, I've looked at every single one of these engaged contacts or qualified leads. And the challenge we have is that from a sheer resource bandwidth, they don't have the opportunity to do that. And so we're talking right now about some strategies in which we can try and help automate some more of that qualification for them, maybe raise the bar on the qualifications we have, but it's an ongoing dialogue. It literally is a weekly conversation. And the conversation we had this week is that with inbound and outbound prospecting activities, they can't follow up with all of our leads. So we're kind of going back to the drawing table right now to figure out how we can qualify the accounts further down the funnel before we send them over. So it is literally a weekly conversation. But I'd say having implemented that process, we've only implemented it for about 3 or 4 months now. It is probably one of the single most effective pieces to not have the sales team come back to us and say that they don't know what we're driving, that they don't know the numbers that they're seeing, because we talk about them every week. And then there's also been a really eye-opener for my team to figure out, okay, hey, I got to figure out how I can qualify these or help automate more of this process, because I can't just give somebody 200 leads in a week in addition to their outbound activities and say, qualify all these inbound, and do your outbound, because they just don't have time. So it's an ongoing process.
Yeah, so it absolutely is. But I think that, what you're describing in terms of the level of over communication and the meeting rhythms, I mean, just having that active conversation, I think is maybe one of the most important parts of trying to navigate that sales and marketing alignment. I mean, and it is a journey. I think it is rare that people get to a destination and stay there. I sometimes think alignment between sales and marketing and operationalizing that as your org changes, as your customer changes, as the buying journey changes. It's kind of like gardening. You're never done gardening. You're never done sort of improving and iterating on that program. This has been a fantastic conversation with Jonah-kai. He's the Senior Director of Marketing at Tune. Lots of insights into sales and marketing alignment, coordination, marketing tech stack, marketing ops, marketing measurement, and more. If you want to listen again, and I highly encourage you to get more out of this episode, you can find it on demand at salespipelineradio.com. Just a couple days. We will also have a transcript with highlights from this conversation with Jonah-kai up on HeinzMarketing.com. We are out of time. Thank you again to Jonah-kai Hancock for joining us today. For my great producer, Paul, this is Matt Hines. We'll see you next week on Sales Pipeline Radio.
You've been listening to Sales Pipeline Radio, brought to you by the good folks at Matt Hines Marketing, right here in the Funnel Radio channel for at-work listeners like you.